Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is zeeshanrahatkureshi. I'm the CEO and founder of High Achievers League. So today we have with us Mr. Faizan Ahab. He recently got admission in University of Illinois at Urbana Champaign, and he got full funding, and he's also got the visa, so he'll be leaving soon for US. Welcome, Faizan.
Hello, thank you so much. How are you?
I'm good. So I just wanted to have a discussion with you to know about your journey, how you started preparing to apply in different universities and how you got admission and everything about that so that it's helpful for the students. So maybe we can start with a little intro, like what you have done and what you were doing here, and then how you decided to apply for US.
Yes, okay. So basically, I work in education, which means that I've been associated with different institutions for the past 1 decade. And while I was doing this, I have association with the arts. So I did my master's in art education, which was one step forward towards my career goals. And then I think now it was time to do my PhD. Um, and because I work at universities as well, so I think the next step was to become a professor. So इसलिए फिर then I chose to start looking at different options, and I got into the program that I got into is also an art education program. So it's a PhD in art education, and with a lot of focus on curriculum development and the arts. So that's the basic premise of everything.
Right. So how is a master's or PhD in art education different from a degree in art itself?
So, a degree in art is basically about your artistic practice. So, unlike the West, especially the South Asian part of the world, hota ye hai कि artists graduate with art degrees and then they enter academia and become teachers. Whereas in the West, art academia is different than practicing artists. There may be an overlap. Lekin the difference in the program is that it is about converting your artistic practice into a teaching resource or looking at the academic angle of it as opposed to just
Right.
practicing it. So it
Right.
becomes a teaching practice. That's the difference.
All right. So when and how did you think about going to the US and why not to Europe or to some other place?
That's a good question. I think Europe was on the table. I think anything was on the table initially, but then when you start, sifting down things, then it sort of boils down to the kind of program that is being offered. यूरोप का मसला एक तो सबसे बड़ा ये है language barrier भी बहुत ज्यादा हो जाता है. So I wouldn't have wanted to like learn a new language and then start a PhD program. While a lot of medium of instruction is in English, I do think that they have that language thing going on. So US was, I think, a very obvious option. Um, and then again, like I said, the kind of program that I wanted to get into was more. I think the US had better options.
All right. So how many universities did you apply in and what was the process you followed and how did you get into Illinois?
First, so, yeah, I applied
I know the
around.
answer, but I just want you to tell for the benefit of the students.
That's true. No, so basically, thank you, by the way, for helping me out with this process, number one, because I think we shortlisted around 15 universities based on my kind of requirements, which was that I didn't want to take my GRE. I needed full funding. We kind of like, I remember we made a list of universities, 15 universities, out of which then we further shortlisted, depending on timelines and, the rankings. And then I applied to six, and then out of those six, I also got into two.
Yeah, I
And
remember
then, of
you were
course,
a tough client. You had your requirements.
sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm happy that you got admission in the end. So again, going to the to the institutions that you applied in. So did you think that Illinois in at Urbana Champaign was that your top choice?
I mean, yes, it was one of my top choices. I think that's why it was shortlisted, number one. And number two, I think between the two that I was accepted in, Urbana Champaign was most certainly more down my kind of alley. So
Right.
that's why. Yeah.
Right. And for the benefit of the students, what you didn't take GRE, but what was your IELTS score?
I had an 8.5.
No, that's a really good score. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. But not everyone needs that. So, not to scare the students. So, I think
No, so
6.5
I'll
to
tell you,
7
like, if
is
you're going to
okay.
see, yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think the बल्कि minimum requirement to 6 की भी थी कुछ universities के
Right,
programs की, but
right.
I have to tell you, speaking of IELTS, I think where a lot of people, I mean, if this is any information that is helpful, a lot of people mess up the written part. I think that is the weakest, for me also was the weakest. That's where I lost points. I think that is something that they need to focus on the most.
Yeah, mostly recently we have seen that a lot of students, they're not getting enough points in writing.
Written,
And
yeah.
yeah, that's the issue. That's their way. They need to concentrate. So students, especially new students who meet me, they generally, they are surprised to see that you can actually go to the United States and study for free. So they ask these questions like, is it really possible? And you
Mhm.
have made it possible. So can you tell us what kind of a waiver are you getting, or what kind of stipend you are getting?
Yes, absolutely. So basically, the fellowship that I've gotten is called the Illinois Distinguished Fellowship, which is that they have waived off my entire tuition fee, and they are giving me a stipend for approximately 2,100 a month. Obviously, cumulative figures are not in front of me right now, but I think it was a total of 75,000 for
Hmm.
the entire duration. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So that's
So,
the stipend I'm getting, and I get to teach, yeah, while I'm there.
all right. So you'll be teaching there as well. And does this include your insurance cover, or you have to pay for your insurance?
No, no. So I have insurance covered. I also have one more thing covered, which I'm forgetting, was like the library fee and these extra charges that's all been waived off, including, I mean, apart from the tuition.
Right. And did they conduct an interview after you were shortlisted by the university?
No, it
So
was
there
just
was
my
no
proposal.
interview. So and for the benefit of the students, they some mostly students think that you can't get into a PhD in US if you don't have a lot of publications. So what about that side? Did you have publications?
I have one that's in the process, so I'm not published yet. I
Okay.
sent that as a sample, and I sent my master's research as another writing sample. So they asked for two.
Right, right. So this is what I tell students generally, that they are not looking for research experts who are already experts, because this degree makes you a researcher. So they look
That's
at
right.
potential, you know. So they
Hmm.
want to see if your research interest matches with the professor's research interest, and how much potential and determination the student has to succeed. So
Hmm.
that's more important for them than, research on paper.
Yes, and Vikan, if I can add here also, is that because usually a lot of people think that there's this one personal essay, that personal statement that people send. That wasn't the case for me. I had to write three essays. One was again about my story. The personal essay was definitely there, but then I also had to write another one, which was about my intellectual abilities and my career goals. Just may then, of course, like I had to align this decade of work that I had done in education with my research goals, which again was not ke oh maine ye sab kiya hai. It was what I want to do all of these things. So I think it was more about how my work adds up to my interest in doing this research. And then the third one, which I think is the most interesting essay, is the diversity statement, where they look at how you are. And by diversity, it's not about being like a sob story. It is how you've done
Yeah.
work that is either bringing the world together, or it is some kind of it's serving a bigger purpose. Um, and so us tarah ki cheezein, like they look in the diversity statement, and I think that also is in line with a lot of
Right,
universities because they want that kind of diversity coming in.
right. Another issue that students have is with recommendation letters, and especially those people who did their last degree a few years back. They generally say that we can't find a professor who would be willing to write recommendation letters for us. So, how about you? What happened in your case?
I have been in touch with and again, I think I had it a little easy that way because I work in education. So it was easier for me to stay in touch with my professors. But that is a very, I would say, tiring drill because despite the fact that I was in touch with them, I had to send them a lot of reminders. अक्सर ने तो ये कहा कि likh de, and then we will, tweak it and then send it on your behalf. So like, keep things ready. You can write your own, which becomes a bit tricky also, because then you're like, oh, what if I'm being too boastful? But then be boastful. It's okay, because it's not you technically. For the universities, it is your supervisor or your because they ask for professional references as well. So somebody that you work with, your line manager, if they are sending it on the letter as is, that means they mean it. So it's a good drill to keep that kind of handy, and highlight your achievements in terms of academics and professional stuff that you've done, because they
Right,
count.
right, right. What about the visa? Because I remember we did this visa drill interview preparation mock interview. So how was your visa experience? And can you just share with us two or three questions that they asked?
Yes. So the visa experience was, I'll begin with that. It was very, very scary, I think, because there is this pressure of, oh no, whether I'm going to get it or not. And then there were so many people who got rejected before I was. And then when my turn came, I was like, oh no. And also, because, I mean, I usually don't stutter. Like, I think I'm pretty fluent that way, but I forgot my English. That's how intimidated I was during the process. But the questions were fairly simple. I think they initially asked me about a little bit about myself and the kind of work that I do. Surprisingly, they already had that in their records. They knew, because she asked me. She's like, "Oh, so you're a curriculum coordinator?" And I said, "Yes, I work with the curriculum." But then asked me about what my research was, and then what my plans were after my PhD. To which I sort of stuck to your advice, and I said that I want to come back and I want to become a professor here, and that I have job offers already. I'll rejoin where I'm working. So kind of like showing my ties back to the country. And that's what the interview consisted of. The initial questions were about me, where I was born, what I'm doing, all of that. So the formality mein shuru mein chote chote पूछ लेते, but these were lengthier questions towards the end.
Right, right, right. All right.
Yeah.
So, and I know that you do have plans to come back and work, but then, sometimes it's all about opportunities that one gets
Mhm.
with time.
Mhm.
So, another question that students generally ask is about the city where they should take the interview. So there are students who are these days, coming to me and saying, "Oh, we want to go to Karachi because there are more visas being granted in Karachi." But I tell them not to do that, because if it's a genuine case, it doesn't matter. So for you students, to let you know, Faizan got his visa from Islamabad, right, Faizan? So I
Yes,
think
yes,
this was
yes.
not even a consideration for you to go to Karachi.
No, no, no. It was
Yeah,
fairly simple. I think it was just. Um, I don't think for a second even I knew that I was going to go to Karachi. I mean, I knew it was Islamabad from the get go.
all right, right. So have you started working on your stay? So will you be staying online, on campus or off campus, or you haven't started to delve
No,
into
I've
that?
started looking at all of that. So one advice that I think everybody I'll give to all the students is that we are not in the habit of sending emails. And I think it's totally okay. For everything these days, ek ek sawal ke liye I'm writing down emails and sending, and they're responding. So
They
that
do
is one
respond.
good exercise. Yeah, they
Yeah.
absolutely respond. Abhi to in fact, summer break unke bhi chal rahe hain. They're traveling, but even then they're responding and they're saying, okay, we have received your email and we'll get back to you after the 26th or whatever it is that they're saying. But sorry, I said this completely off track, but baat ho rahi thi housing ki. And I am right now, like while we're speaking, mere tabs ko live and we're looking at, usually most universities have separate graduate housing, which is not like dorms. It's basically these apartments that they've made, single rooms with attached washrooms, or because a lot of PhD candidates also travel with family, they have dependents because they're at a certain age now. So unke
Right.
liye pure housing, but this is all on campus. um, but that being said, because you see it depends on what state you're in, it's a good idea to check properties around campus as well, to gauge whether living off campus is cheaper than campus rates, and that's something that I am doing right now.
All right. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Faizan. So I think that should sum it up. Thank you so much for your time and for this
No,
interview. I wish you best of luck, and
thank
we'll
you.
stay in touch, inshallah. So good luck, and I hope
Thank you
that
so
you'll
much.
have a lot of fun and a lot of good time.
No, and thank you for all the help. I don't think it would have been possible. I think I bothered you too much for everything. And like you said, I was a difficult client. I was just calling you. So thank you for your patience, and I'm so glad that you were part of this
That's
journey
fine.
with me.
Oh, okay. Okay, Faizan. Take care. Allah Hafiz.
Take care.